With everything that is going on in our country today, everything that we are experiencing, you have to understand that our children they are not tethered to anything, that we are tethered by a thread because of how we were raised. We remember our grandparents, and you have to be uber vigilant. Our whole culture right now is set up for you and the values that we grew up on to lose. Let me give you an example. I don't know if you've ever seen the TV show Glee, but this show stands out and stands for almost every value that I have. I've seen this episode or this show twice with my wife this year, and I've watched it in stunned horror combined with a sense of admiring awe. It is a brilliant, brilliant show. Very, very, very well done. But it is a horror show. If you've never seen it, it's about a high school glee club. All of the characters are extremely good-looking, extremely talented. Everybody in here, she's, by the way, hysterical. Everybody in here is somebody that your kids would want to be like. Except everybody is sleeping with everybody else. There's no values. It's all self-gratification. It's a nightmare. Well, we're watching this show, and the dialogue, very funny, but presenting in that dialogue is just storylines that are horrifying. Brilliant songs and performances, brilliantly edited, brilliantly shot. I watched this scene. Last time I saw this must have been maybe 2 months ago. And I said to my wife, play a little bit of this, please. This is at the end of the episode. It goes on. It is brilliant. Brilliant. I looked at my wife and I said, there is no way to beat this. There is no way to beat this. And it will go by most people, and they'll say, oh, it's no big deal. Pay attention to the lyrics. This is Sing by Chemical Romance. And I love it. I love it. But listen to the lyrics. Cleaned up, corporation progress, dying in the process, children that can talk about it, living in the railways, people moving sideways, sell it to your last days, buy yourself the motivation generation, nothing but a dead scene, product of a white dream. This is propaganda, and it's an anthem. It's an anthem saying, join us. How can you and I possibly win against that? Then I remembered a story about my chief of staff, Joe Carey. He's always right on the other side of a camera. He is a guy that I admire so much. I think I admire his grandparents and his mother more than him. Joe's mom escaped from North Korea. When Joe and his siblings were young, one day she found the kids watching TV instead of doing their homework. This is a woman who worked at a 7-Eleven when she came to America. And she came in tired. And she looked at the kids and said, what are you doing? And they said, we'll do it after this show. She picked up the TV. She's about this tall. And she picked up the TV and she threw it out into the front lawn. This is the kind of white trash that I can appreciate. Joe said he didn't have a TV in the house again until he was about 18. Now, for most kids, that would be Armageddon. No Glee, no American Idol, no MTV. What? No reason to live. Maybe the worst thing you could do is maybe give them a cell phone. What? No text? Well, without TV, here's what happened to Joe's family. Joe's brother wound up with something like 1,500 doctorates. I think he actually has a doctorate and a PhD from Oxford, 3 master's degrees. He's now a tenured professor and is at 3 of the prestigious universities. His sister is like a modern-day Florence Nightingale, registered nurse, an attorney, works in the healthcare administration on one of the hospitals that she oversees, the oldest in America, the one founded by Ben Franklin. Joe, he's kind of the loser in the family. He works for me. But at one time, he was somebody with a future. He worked at the White House. He served at the New Jersey Supreme Court. His fall from grace is now complete. But Joe's mother was on to something. We don't have to live by the standards that everybody else has set, that society has set. And you know what is right. Now, I think there's a very important show at 5 o'clock that you should watch. But other than that, maybe Joe's mom was right. Maybe she was on to something. with a special hour filled with a studio audience of parents concerned about the indoctrination of their children in school. Nick, you are from York, Pennsylvania, and what are you doing?
Well, I first became concerned when I recognized that the ramifications in our society as a result of the change in ideology of our public education. It used to be based in our Judeo-Christian worldview, foundational worldview, and now switched to a secular progressive ideology. So when I was a child, when you were a child, virtues such as honesty, industriousness, charity, love of God, country, and family were promoted. We were encouraged to make decisions to differentiate between right and wrong, good and evil. Now, tolerance has been deemed the supreme virtue. You know, our children are taught varied and often conflicting beliefs and lifestyles are equivalent and equally good.
Isn't it amazing how tolerance is taught, and yet if you disagree, they bully you and get you to shut up? So what are you doing?
Well, ultimately, I decided that I couldn't have any effect at the national or state level, so we're doing what we can to promote good governance at the local level. The governor is closest to us, so I joined our York 912 Patriots, and then I started up the York Suburban Citizens for Responsible Government, because if the government closest to me could not spend its money wisely, could not perform the function that it was supposed to do, which was to teach the kids, then there was no reason to worry about Obamacare.
Yeah. Lisa, you are with a Christian school, private school.
Yes, sir.
First of all, are you seeing an increase in people fleeing the public schools?
It is. We have had a significant interest over the past year. Dayspring offers educational programs for the community as well, and there has just been a groundswell, hundreds of people coming to school for various programs.
I want to ask you the difference on what, I mean, because what Nick was just talking about, you're still doing. What was taught before is now still being taught in private schools. We'll do that in just a second. Tonight, concerned parents and people who are thinking, what is happening to our kids? And this is the beginning, this is the first in what I hope to be a series of episodes of people that are, the first episode here is, there's a problem. The next episode will be, here's what you do. But Lisa, I wanted to bring you in because you are actually doing something in your school. And what is the difference between what is being taught in your private school that was taught and no longer taught in public schools?
Yeah, it's completely different. Dayspring is one of about 25 principal approach schools in the nation. It is the method of education that was prevalent during the founding era of our nation. It teaches students, we want them to be able to think and to reason from biblical principles and apply them to every area of life. And it really is designed and created with the intention of counteracting that secular and socialistic efforts that are going on in America today. We restore those principles like self-government that generations were raised up in, to teach responsibility and accountability and taking care of your neighbor. And those are really founded in biblical principles. And we teach our students to stand on those truths. And we want to be able to have our young people go out there and restore that biblical foundation.
It's what we were talking about yesterday. George Washington said, let us raise a standard that can be restored by the wise and the honest. Do I have time, Deborah, real quick? Real quick.
I think one of the greatest difficulties is in high school, because I think they have a real toehold there. Because in high school, as you know, teenagers, they don't want to stand out, they don't want to stand up, and grades start to matter. So if they go against the teacher, challenge them, they're worried about their grade.
Let me tell you something. Don't let your child fool you into thinking that grades matter. Character matters more than anything else. Character matters most of all, and courage is the most important thing you can teach. Back in a minute. book in several people's schools here for their children. Jesus makes his appearance as a corpse, the living man, a wine-guzzling vagrant and precocious socialist. Watch your children. From New York, good night, America.